speaking with us. What's your first comment over, you have attended a summit in Pune, an international business summit. How do you see, India is celebrating 30 years of relationship with, diplomatic relationship with Israel. What's your view and comment on that?
Yeah, well, I'm a newcomer ambassador. I came in at the end of September, and this is probably my first visit to Pune ever, and also this type of event. I think it's a wonderful event, very fruitful, very practical. I think that it's also manifesting our wonderful relations between our countries. As you mentioned, we are celebrating 30 years of diplomatic relations, but we have a strategic alliance by name, but not only by name, also by action. I think that both Indian people and Israeli people are very close in culture, very similar values of family, culture, food, elements that are very similar, warm people. And it comes also now into manifestation in our great relations in trade and economy and in all walks of life. And we can be very proud of, I think, of our relations at this point.
You also, during your speech, you spoke about, from here for the next 30 years, we have to plan some strategy. If you could just put up a little light on that.
Yeah, we are in a very good point, but we cannot be lazy or comfortable about the point, because the world is changing, our economies are changing. The Indian economy is growing in a tremendous pace. Also, the Israeli economy is doing quite well. But we have to be very alert, and we have to prepare ourselves and to make sure that we have a good momentum for the future. So we as governments are already preparing for, I mentioned that there is a commitment or a wish to conclude by the middle of the year a free trade agreement between the countries. We have a R&D fund that we want to extend now for another 5 years and increase the scope and the funds included. So we are trying to do many things, and we have to go. The economy is changing, high tech, innovation, and we have to keep up with the pace of changes and even a step ahead of the changes. So we will have both together a leadership position, I think, in the future.
Of course, but countries are coming out of the pandemic now. How do you see that particular parts? If we talking about the pace of the relationship and economics going forward.
So first, you can see that after 2020, when the whole world economy had a decline, everyone had a compensation in 2021. Hopefully, it will continue into 2022. From the Israeli perspective, at least, I can say that since our economy is based, half of our export is based on high tech. During the pandemic, innovation and high tech became even more important rather than less important. People were working from home, so you need to have different systems that will enable them, and you have to have different developments. And it was very helpful, I think. So, innovation and high tech is going to become even maybe more important in the future. And I don't see the pandemic as a problem. During the pandemic, by the way, we cooperated also on trying to find solutions. We did even medical trials together. And when Israel we had the pandemic before India, and there was Indian support to Israel in shipments of protective equipment. And then when, unfortunately, the pandemic hit here, Israel sent here different oxygen machines and things like that. So I think that the cooperation, even during the pandemic, and more so, I'm sure, after the pandemic, is very good.
So basically, you are seeing this as a blessing in disguise, right?
Oh, pandemic is never a blessing. But I think that, I think Churchill said once, never waste a good crisis. So when you have a crisis, think how you can make the best out of it when you come out of it. So pandemic is no blessing to anyone. God forbid.
My last question here.
Please.
The India, amidst Ukraine crisis, the India has asked the residents, the people, citizens staying there in Kyiv to leave the country. How Israel is seeing all this crisis that is going on in Ukraine?
So we did the same. We also we are leaving our embassy, and we even increased our forces, our diplomatic forces inside the embassy, because we have, I think, around 15,000 Israeli citizens living in Ukraine, and we have a big Jewish community, and we feel our responsibility to take care of them. So we encouraged everyone to leave, but not everyone leaves. So we have more consular workers that we sent there, while the families of the diplomats are home. So I hope It will be resolved without violence, this issue, but we are preparing ourselves in case, God forbid, it does erupt and we need to give answers to our peoples.
Thank you very much.
Ambassador, one more question.
Yeah.
What is Israel's approach towards China after this pandemic?
I don't think that the pandemic is connected to that. Israel and China have cooperation for many years in different economic fields and other fields, and we hope to continue, of course, this cooperation. It's not one on the account on the other. Our relations with India are extremely important. We see huge potential of growth in the relations, and we are working very hard to achieve it.
बहिणाबाईंची जात्यावरची ओवी म्हणजे